How do you get people more deeply connected with your universe?
We're trying to make it innovative, we're trying to make it accessible, and by introducing story and a narrative thread through the whole Infinity multiplayer experience is something that we really wanted to put a lot of attention and detail into.
If it's the universe that everybody wants to be really excited about, it's got to grow and evolve beyond just incredibly balanced suite of mechanics. It's got to speak to fantasy and what people want and what they expect.
With Halo 4 was to bring a new perspective to Halo multiplayer.
One of the forces of multiplayer was that we wanted to unify the competitive and cooperative experiences under this one big narrative banner that we call Infinity.
The Infinity is a UNSC ship that is home to the Spartan 4 program.
Really tried to contextualize multiplayer in such a way in which it doesn't feel like a distracted gamer off to the side. It feels very much part of the same universe.
We knew we wanted to expand the audience as far as we could, but still satisfy the core as much as possible. We had to break everything down to line-by-line evaluation of our current scripts and redefine that core loop to not make it like Halo 2 or like Halo 3 or something in the middle, but make it Halo 4.
Halo starts with a philosophy that we've upheld, which is that the gameplay mechanics are consistent across every mode, so they don't change.
We want to give players the power to choose which weapons they take, and people have their own personal favorites.
It's a growth system in that you're unlocking customizations for your character, you're unlocking new weapons and abilities, but that's also helping to train you how to use those over time.
You have armor abilities and armor mods, which are sort of under the hood modifications to your armor that give you abilities, give you passive changes.
And then that really fit in with our new scoring system.
A lot of actions players take in multiplayer that contribute but don't necessarily put a score on the board.
Because of the objective medals and all the extra ways you can score in a match, no players are finishing a game with a 0.
So one of the big things for us was making sure that people felt involved, felt like they could always contribute in some sort of way.
You're getting rewarded for teamwork, your style, your kills, your assists, the objectives you complete. And as you do that, you're going to get medals that fill up your ordnance meter.
Ordnance ready.
Once your ordnance meter fills up, UNSC Infinity gives you 3 rewards you can choose from. Those usually power weapons, power-ups, or grenades, and you can call them down right to you.
We've added what we're calling a situational record.
That's a replay of the person that just killed you and how they killed you. Just adds a bit more information for players.
The matchmaking system has evolved to let us join in progress. Overall, this means players will be getting into games faster and more often.
So the new CTF really focuses on trying to encourage a little more team play.
In the past, there was a lot of dropping of the flag and changing of roles.
Now when you pick up the flag,
Carrying flag.
You're 100% committed, and at that point, your role is now to deliver that flag.
you're having to change to tell you exactly where the deliver point is.
Everybody can see exactly what it is that they're supposed to do.
If you don't have that flag, then you'll still get points for helping your flag carrier, driving him around, assisting him, saving his life, returning your own flag, defending your flag against the enemies.
It's a much more intense experience for all of the players.
Enemy team scored.
Probably the biggest focal change is that we're trying to build a more vehicle-friendly map, and then to go with that, we've got a new mode called Dominion.
Dominion is everything we loved about Big Team Battle mixed with objective-based gameplay. You have lots of vehicles, big power weapons, large maps, but now there's bases.
As you reinforce the bases, then shields will come up, or you'll be able to activate turrets to kind of reinforce those locations.
It's kind of like territories, but with a little bit more of a twist.
Territory control.
One of the biggest challenges was trying to get vehicle and infantry play to work really well on a large map that had a lot of interior space.
In Longbow, for example, all the bases and dominion are fully thought out features in the map, and that really lets you get that break-in and defend gameplay.
The idea was to try and make sure that teams started here or here. The paths that they could take in between involved great pinch points, places where the vehicles would automatically run into each other and jump over each other.
Whenever we start a space, we need to concentrate on a few key things. One is that there's distinct landmarks everywhere you look so you can orient yourself and you never get lost while you're playing. Two is that whenever you're moving from location to location, if you're jumping across a gap, that none of those jumps feel frustrating. So for instance, floods are a replacement for infection and players have higher jump height.
Infected.
We needed to make sure that we could make a map that you're always going to hit your target, you're always going to be able to move around smoothly.
Blood is a spiritual successor to Infection. We knew how popular this mode was, we knew how to want to move up to, so we didn't want it to just be a Slayer variant anymore. The ground up, it's a new script, it's its own mode now. And now when you're Flood, you get this new character model, you get a big claw, which you can completely slice the survivors in half with.
If you look at the model, there's a set of fingers gripping the top of it. The idea being kind of been an explosive growth. As soon as they get infected, it just kind of pops out of them. It's like little teeth inside now.
In addition to all of the new elements that we're adding to Halo 4 multiplayer, we're bringing back and improving a bunch of old favorites. We're bringing back King of the Hill and Oddball.
With Oddball, we also wanted to incorporate all the elements from our new scoring system. We're looking for ways to make it a team-based experience like never before. Instead of just running away and hiding, now players get points for passing, catching, intercepting the ball. It completely changed the landscape.
We're working with Certain Affinity to build content for multiplayer. It's a pretty huge undertaking.
Certain Affinity's been a great partner with 343 for many years. They worked with us on the Defiant Map Pack and Halo Anniversary. For Halo 4, they helped us with a bunch of multiplayer and Forge maps.
And one of those maps will have a Griffball port in it.
Keep the lead.
Forge is our toolset that allows players to customize their own levels. So we give multiple spaces that each have unique components that you can kind of mix and match to make your own layouts.
We felt like the previous permutation of Forge wasn't necessarily the most accessible. The biggest thing for us was trying to increase the speed at which you can build things.
We have a lot of new components. First is a magnet system, which makes it easier to line up pieces to each other.
You see these little guys over here. These are hand-placed magnet points. Based on these points, you toggle it in the game and you can actually snap pieces together.
Another thing that we have is the duplicate object tool. So if someone has a crazy idea, you can just place something. Oh, I have a mongoose. I can make 6 more of those.
Whenever you exit your editing mode, you'll end up seeing shadows cast on the pieces that you placed.
I can place blocks wherever anywhere I want, and it'll just sit there. There'll be no shadow on the ground. It'll look kind of like exploding, even though it's actually quite close to the ground. But then if I turn the lighting on, boom, instantly get a shadow there.
There's going to be things out there where we just end up scratching our head and like, how did someone do that?
In the tradition of remaking maps, we've chosen to do Valhalla, and this time we're calling it Ragnarok. It is almost identical to the original layout of Valhalla. We fine-tuned things for jetpack and things like that. But the biggest change to this map is the addition of the Mantis.
The biggest new sandbox toy we have this time around. When you walk up to it, you'll see it sitting on the floor, so you hop in this hatch in the back. On its right hand, it's got an enormous UNSC chain gun, and on the left side, it's got a 5-canister rocket pod. You can use both weapons at the same time, and the rocket pod itself, you can charge up and actually fire all 5 rockets at once. The other thing that's really sweet with it is it has a melee stun. This is probably the most powerful vehicle in a Halo game since like the Scorpion or Banshee.
We knew from the start that for the campaign, you have to bring multiplayer, look better toy weapons than Battlefield with that.
When you look at Halo's audience, you've got a group of players that really gravitates towards campaign, and then another group of players that really gravitates towards multiplayer.
The idea of knitting together the narrative and this gameplay experience was the genesis of where Spartanops came from.
The narrative thread through Spartanops is absolutely huge.
6 months after the events of the campaign are over, the crew of the Infinity is going down to investigate Requiem.
Some of the old hands here know what you're in for. The rest of you, you're due an education.
Each week you have a new episode of the series that's continuing to tell this evolving story. And then you have these 5 missions that tie directly to that episode.
And actually, in some cases, you have a direct impact on what's happening in the next week's episode.
There are both creative challenges and production challenges. One is it's just a huge amount of content.
We have, 50 missions that we're developing over the 10 weeks of the Spartanops season. We only have this much space, we only have this much RAM, we only have this much bandwidth, so we had to do a lot of technical trickery so that everything that we wanted to accomplish was able to happen.
We want you to feel invested as part of the story.
We wanted players to feel like they're accomplishing something.
Rise up through the ranks, and once you get up to 50, we have what are called specializations. Specializations are kind of the end game for your Spartan career. Each specialization has an armor set, a bunch of emblems, an armor skin, and probably the biggest thing is you can also unlock an extra armor mod. You can actually have a little gameplay item. Are you a vehicle guy? Are you a sniper? Are you someone who wants to level up faster? You actually have a mod that lets you earn XP a bit faster. It's more about specializing how you play at that point rather than the core gameplay mechanics being modified.
So all the choices that you're making carries into the Spartanops experience.
I'm going to tune in every week. We'll experience the story together for the first time as friends, and then we'll go play together as friends. And so this sort of new version of the water cooler.
Spartanops will be one of those pinnacle moments for us in the franchise, of creating new expectations for gamers and really delighting people with just great new functionality.
We're seeing just kind of the tip of the spear. Going where we want to go in the next steps is only made possible by building absolute confidence.
The hero is someone who takes action even though they have something to lose.
You gotta have the gumption. You gotta have the confidence to go after it.
No matter how deeply we explore the universe or how much detail that we find out about aspects of the universe, it's still bigger and more mysterious than any amount of information could ever give us. And I think that's how the real universe is.
Super excited about where this game has evolved to.
There's so much variation at all levels of the game that make it infinitely replayable.
People play it and they say, man, that's great, I just want one more game, and another one, and just keep going.
It has been sort of this puzzle that's come together person by person.
To me, that's the most fun thing, seeing people play it, enjoy it, have fun, and you know it just started with that single spark, that single sentence from one designer to another.
Friends and colleagues, Freddie O'Connor, creative. Tashin, his actual name is Satmo Toshiman, but Tashin, we lovingly call him, audio director for 343 Industries. Kevin Franklin, who is your multiplayer lead designer. Who is the concept lead for Halo 4. Most of your creative team for Halo, most of your creative leads for Halo 4. So we're going to talk about that creative process for a little bit before we shoot some faces. So we're going to start where I think it, you can confirm whether or not this is true, but we're going to start where I think it always starts, which is story. Or tell me if I'm wrong, but I know that when you came to 343, you were presented with an opportunity that very few of us ever get, which is to sort of craft a brand new story, but yet working with an established franchise with beloved characters.
Yeah, that was a lot of hard things in putting 343 together. The hardest, of course, was assembling a team from. We started with something like 9 people, 12 depending on how you count it. And we had a lot of difficult things to do. We had to build a studio of 250 people. We had to take over where Bungie had left off. We had to build technology. We had to build a game. And all of that stuff is hard. And I think that the only simple process in the whole thing was deciding what the story was going to be. It's not the same as creating it, but picking a thread and which thread to follow was the only difficult part. And I think, or rather the only easy part. And we realized right away, especially from fan reaction, people enjoyed ODST and they enjoyed Reach, but they wanted to find out what happened to the Master Chief and Cortana. And so that was a really easy decision. We said we're going to follow in Halo 3's footsteps. Definitely craft a new saga. We've said that a bunch. This is a new story, and it's a standalone story, but it follows chronologically directly after the events of Halo 3. Picks up about 4 or 5 years later, Chief's being cryosleep. You guys all know this stuff, of course. But it was. But it also helped build a foundation for the rest of the work that the team would then have to build to sort of realize that vision and make a few really simple story ideas turn into something that really sings. And we're nearly there. We got 3 weeks to go before the game is actually in stores, unless you're in Mexico. And, we're really excited to get it out there and have you guys play it. And we know that we like it. We know that we're proud of it. And we're proud of the team and the work that they've done. But ultimately, you guys are the ones who decide whether it's a success or not. And of course, the most important part, above commercial and sort of marketing success, is critical success. And you guys have a real voice now. And the internet and media has changed since the first Halo came out. And we hear you guys loud and clear. And we'll be listening very, very closely on November 6th.
Things you started talking about was class. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things you were thinking about and what led you to where we are now?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a design question. The game has to drive everything. We had to put in a whole new class of enemies in Halo since the first game. Everyone's familiar with the Covenant, and we've added to them slowly over the years. We added buggers, we added brutes. But we never sort of revamped it. We felt that this was a great opportunity to tie the story into that new enemy, and of course that's the Prometheans, and you guys are going to get to be very, very, very familiar and angry with them on November 6th. But they had to be philosophically very different. We tried to make them, where the Covenant are tactical and aggressive, and hardly simplistic. They do complex things and they show intelligent behavior all the time. But we wanted them to feel primitive, deliberately primitive beside the Prometheans. And so we focused most of the thought behind the Prometheans on making them kind of a more strategic enemy. Something where it's always wise to get a look at the battlefield before you jump down in there and take them on. And we just finished a review event over in a weird hotel room in Midtown, and we had all these Halo fans reviewing the game. They've played every single Halo game and they know how to deal with the Covenant. And we had to tell people, play it on normal. Don't try and play it on heroic first time. If you want to switch to heroic afterwards, do that. But it's because you have all this muscle memory built up over 10 years of playing Halo and learning how to defeat the Covenant. And then we throw a wrench in the works and we really sort of turn things upside down. And the Prometheans will continually surprise you, and we hope they'll keep surprising people for years.
Not long after Frank was starting to talk about this stuff, it started to show up on paper and digitally with Spark and this team. And I know you guys used to sort of go off in these little rooms and come out battered and bruised, but with a drawing. So, do you want to tell us about a little bit how that worked in that room back then?
So, conceptualized at the very initial stage of the process of a game. They're really here to put into visuals a lot of the concepts and the creative ideas that the team has been having. And that they want to propose and that they want to really visually see. So our goal is to actually have people see these things in advance and be able to get inspired. And basically, when it came to all Forerunner architectures and all the things we really had to upgrade, we basically very often had to go in a room with a small meeting room with a whiteboard and think about how we could actually bring all that stuff to a new level. We still had the legacy of the previous Halos to actually help us really figure out where to go, but at the same time we were just not wanting to have a simple upgrade. We wanted to, through the Forerunners actually, being able to really boost not only the visual, the art direction of that new visual system, and it had to be done with a lot of thinking. We had actually it's very interesting because when it comes to Forerunners, the more we were thinking about it, and the more we wanted to focus at finding something new, fresh, and the more we actually we're putting ourselves rules to say, all right, maybe Forerunners architecture is just going to look like this, and we were having like sets of like maybe 15, 20, 30 rules. The more we were doing that, the more we ended up like not failing but being very slow at creating something very interesting. So we had to either lower the set of rules when it comes to architecture, visual direction, or either like sometimes bump that set of rules, but we had to find the right balance to be able to be creatively free of having something amazing and new, but at the same time not being too stressed about it, because the more we were focused on it, the more we were actually just like doing circles and just not going forward the way we wanted to.
And you said that there was one level where it sort of all came together.
Yeah, actually Heaven well, yeah, it's my French accent, sorry about that. Haven was a very important level for us, because for the first time we were able to really visualize what the new Forerunner visuals would be looking like. At first, Heaven was actually just not looking like that. It was, you know, as usual in Manage, you have a mess out and then you just like walk and walk and walk. It's like really coloring. It's like polishing the surfaces to the point where you reach a point where it is something really, it is just going to look new and fresh. But before having that level, we pushed the map and pushed it to its last extent. And it took quite a few weeks and months, to be honest, but Haven was the map that actually did the difference. When you look at that image, for example, the back, that monolithic figure in the back, we must have been having 25 of these. I'm serious, like, and for each part of the map we had, we were just, you know, extracting shots from the video, and then we actually like would paint on it and just do paint overs over and over and over to the point of having something really badass. And this is the end result, and we're very happy about it. Once we got Haven, we were able to really go forward into more Forerunner architecture, but we're very happy to at least go somewhere. But Haven was really, it was some sort of a turning point for us, very important.
Leverage those rules into the character design, weapons design.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Sorry. You kind of leverage those same rules that you established for architecture into the character and the weapons design.
Yes, exactly. When it comes to Forerunner, so on one side, the Covenant is actually more organic. It's actually based on a lot of curves. It's also, I think, the Covenant looks like the aliens that you would actually more regularly see in sci-fi. And we wanted to really have something drastically different from that. Not only on the architecture, but also the weapons are actually very mobile, very active, very this like snappy bits that just like get off and all that stuff. And we really wanted to have something unusual, something surprising, something like more than Alien in a certain way.
And kind of speaking of more than Alien, one of those moments that really I find very impactful, I bet they do too, is when the knight screams. Sort of that moment. I can't imagine being in the room when you guys came up with it, because I wasn't. So, do you want to talk about that?
So when it comes to the final effect, it really came afterwards. When brainstorming, we knew that we wanted to have something that would look like this, but it's only when it's actually animated and that you really have the full visual in front of you, like a punch in the face, that it really makes a lot of sense, and we're like, this is it, and we have it. When it comes to the night on the concept art side, on the visual side, it's a fact that once again we had tons of iterations done by our great Gabriel Garza, who's actually a crazy machine when it comes to have full sheets of knights and knights figures for any character concepts. And after many iterations, we ended up finding that the fact of having that strange insight was something that would be really very surprising and impactful in a certain way. The figure, which is very skull-like, is like, it's an opening on something, once again, very deadly in a certain way. It's some sort of a surprise blow, the fact of having its face opening, knowing that, of course, the skull is what we could call one of the best archetypes of death, and the best incarnation of death in a certain way.
So, when we speak about the night, one of the things that is also very effective about that is the screen, the sound. So, which brings us to Jean. And do you want to just really quick talk about what you're seeing?
Yeah, so
I bet you they don't know.
Okay, the promising sound production, it was really exciting production. So we started the audio production with looking for something, voices, which is something really vicious and unique. And we went to Tasmania and to get a Tasmanian devil's voices. And so blending our own human voices to it and processed them with the ton of digital processors to bring some kind of technological feeling to it. And so we wanted to make it as kind of intelligent but really vicious, the digital kind of.
So, Marty music has always been one of Halo's most beloved pieces, and stepping into his shoes is no small task. So, sorry everyone, I'm looking at the panelists. What sort of guideposts did you set yourself, and what sort of goals did you give yourself when you set out to do that?
For the music?
Yeah.
Yeah, so probably so as many people already knew, so we worked with Neil Davidge, who is a producer and co-composer of the Massive Attack. And the biggest reason why I wanted to work with him was he's really great at establishing a dramatic melody and great and cool percussion track. In addition to it, his music style is kind of perfect fit with our concept, which is digital and organic. And so, yeah, I think his passion for Halo is awesome, and I think he achieved to bring something fresh experience to the video game music in Halo 4.
But he's not the only piece of the story. We have Kazuma at home. He
Yeah.
has a lot of our interactive music as well.
Yeah, so we definitely know how important music is on the Halo 4. So Halo series had a really great music, and so actually I'm a huge fan of Halo music. And so Halo music has a 10 years history. That means people grew up with Halo music. So the new Davidge brought great epic music to the Halo. So we actually had another composer who is Kazuma Jinyoji. The Kazuma and I worked with a couple of Metal Gear Solid projects together, and so I really respect his passion and his composition. And he had a specific task, which is to establish the music, which had a Halo-esque. We inherited like the art scale, and he looked into the art music a lot. And I think
what is your favorite? It's on the slide.
I think it's definitely one of my favorite. It's weapon sound. So yeah, so recording gun sound with Army Special Forcemen and blending with a bunch of audio sources. I think my team achieved a really impactful, punchy gun sound. So especially the Promethean gun sound sounds really unique, and so I can't wait to share the sound with people. So
You don't have to wait very long right now. Do you see what Kevin's doing right next to you?
yeah, those things I can't wait. So can I fire some guns from now?
4 seconds.
Infinity Slayer. Eliminate the enemy team.
And we're going to talk multiplayer with Kevin Franklin. And this is like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We just go, Kevin Franklin, can you talk about multiplayer? And then I'm going to sit down.
So it's been fantastic for us doing these panels because so far we've really told the story of Halo Reborn and how we've recreated the classic modes with bringing back Free For All with Regicide and creating Infinity Slayer, obviously changing CTF and putting in all such rule changes. So for this panel, we really want to discuss some of the new things that we're adding to Halo 4 that you've never seen before. And as you saw in the video for the first time, Dominion is one of the big new modes that we focused on right from the get-go. It's a very large mode with that sort of merges big team battle and objective gameplay in a way we've never seen before. So we're going to try to get into a quick demo of Dominion, and we've got Adam Pino and Gavin Carter, two of our very talented multiplayer developers.
Game over. Victory.
I have my money on the big guy. Yeah? If they actually play.
Ooh. Is this an actual game?
Can we do lights down again?
Oh no, it's a digital.
And pop off. What was your thing you were going to say?
We're setting up Dominion now.
This is neither this nor that discussed when we were doing this. You're not going to say it?
Oh, yeah. I remember. So during the loading screens, we're all supposed to discuss that Rhode Island is neither a road nor an island. Discuss.
That was
So this menu, actually, getting a quick preview, shows all the customization for Dominion. We've really pushed as far as we could to get as many different options. And we're going to tune down the capture time and the fortified time. So the big things to remember with Dominion is your team is always focused on capturing, fortifying, and resupplying bases to win. Teams are going to team up together, and you really have to start making battle gameplay is on it, but Dominion plays really well on it. Capture the flag is great as well, and King of the Hill. And here we go. So a big change from Longbow is you notice that the bases were UNSC bases, very structured, sort of set up in the environment. But in this map, I'm in a base right now, it's a Forerunner installation on the side of a mountain. So for each Dominion game type, we really thought about how do we make these bases fit into the environment. We placed a Banshee on this map to help us show off this the gorgeous environment.
Enemy captured.
It's much of a horseshoe, and with bridges for players. There's the base here is in the center, and you can also get many large vehicles stumbling through it. This is Meltdown for the first time. And as you can see, the Atom here has captured Charlie. And it's got a very special vehicle terminal right here. We're gonna let him get into it. Some people say it's a bit overpowered. I don't know. Have you seen the stock?
I call it the squish. I think that's way better.
It's got one more ability. I'm gonna run back over. You know how the Banshee has tricks? The mech has a view up its sleeve as well. Can demonstrate its advantage. Definitely fresh. So guys, that's Meltdown and Dominion. That's pretty bad. So we have one more slide to show you on a rank. So for Dominion, it's always been that the bases are the stars, and we considered adding lots of new sandbox objects and like weapons and vehicles. And after a while, we realized we already had tons of new Forerunner weapons, and we had the Mantis, which were big new additions. So we really wanted to make the bases feel like they were part of the sandbox. So we're showing Longbow, which we also played at E3, but it's being updated in a big way with bases. So in this demo, I'm going to go capture Alpha, the base on the right, and our demoers are going to capture Bravo. The big thing to remember when you're playing this on the floor is that there are 2 low bases and 1 high base. The high base is a bit riskier to go after, but it spawns more powerful vehicles like the Banshee. The capture process is actually very simple. You run up and run to a terminal and initiate.
Base capture initiated.
And we get a medal for that tip. As you saw in the menu, we've really sped up the capture times for the demo, but normally it's around 45 seconds to get to the top here. So once the base is captured, it's going to sort of like gain allegiance to our team. It's going to light up with all sorts of colors to show I'm on the blue team, and this is sort of the first stage the base can go in. The base then fortifies automatically.
Fortify. Defend at all costs.
Once it fortifies, it sort of goes into protective mode. This makes it much harder for the enemy team to capture and start spawning goodies. So you'll notice right away we've got a Banshee spawning there. A Ghost. These are our all new vehicle pads, and only my blue team can use them. The turret has also come online, and now the base is about to resupply, which means tons of toys. If you're a big fan of power weapons, power-ups, and vehicles, this is definitely the mode for you. We've got as much awesome vehicles and weapons as we can fit into one game mode. Once we've captured the base, it's always good to communicate with your team whether or not you're going to defend it or attack the next one. I love working with the turrets as they definitely help out against fish. Now we'll move on to the attack. Bases are a little bit tricky to assault. The turrets are not instant kills, but they definitely affect your route to get in. This shield door can be accessed by red team only, but as I'm on the blue team, I'll have to take it down. Captured. So teams are scoring points by resupplying the bases, so once they go through a resupply cycle, not only do you get weapons, but your team also gets points. And that's our Dominion demo. We can't wait to see you online with it, and you can also forge as many bases as you want in Forge as well, and change as many settings. We're very excited to see what you guys come up with. And we're going to move on to an all-new map. Again, we're running short on time, so we're going to set this up during the load. We haven't showed off. There we go. Thank you for that. You can have my stats. So this next map we're showing is Meltdown. We haven't shown it off publicly before, and we're very excited to show it. It's also a Dominion-focused map. We're going to be showing off. So this is our classic Halo 3 Valhalla versus the new and updated Ragnarok. Some features and changes that we put to sort of update the
Air weekly for a total of 10 weeks, one episode per week, accompanied by 5 missions of gameplay. And it will tell a real story. It's going to tell a story that's connected to the Halo campaign, although it takes place about 6 months afterwards. So if you're avoiding spoilers, now's a good time to leave. There aren't really any spoilers in this piece, other than the fact that Commander Tom Lasky definitely makes it through the game. In some shape or form. So this is just a really brief snippet just to give you an idea of how the CG episodes will actually look and how the fiction will play out a little bit.
And again, we're showing this for the first time here.
Yep.
Ladies and other Spartans, listen up. Your new workplace is a planet first discovered by humanity 6 months ago called Requiem. Some of the old hands here know what you're in for. The rest of you, you're due an education. The eggheads upstairs want to set up research bases. But before they can do that, we need to fend off some Covenant squatters. The Cubbies. They believe this is the home of one of their gods. The way I see it, if those freaks want to be God, it's our duty to help them along.
So I've just been informed that the panel